Hi, this is Rochelle at Scrapcraftastic, and this is my art journal, which I have not used that much lately. I'm just removing the protective sheets that I had in there. The blue circles here are the last thing that I did in this journal, and I'm just flipping through, looking at some of my previous pages, peeling them apart because for whatever reason they tend to stick together. And just trying to decide where I'm going to do my next design. I do have some pages where I just brushed on some extra paint from other things. So just looking through to see what pages I have available. And I decided to use the one with the red paint, and I'm building a textured background with book page. And I started out with ultra matte medium, and I remembered that I didn't really like the ultra matte medium, so I'm just going to put down this one piece with that and then switch to the regular matte medium. I use the Liquitex matte medium and Liquitex gesso. I'll have a list of all the supplies that I use in the description box below. So basically, this whole page is an experiment. I haven't really been art journaling. As you can see, there's only a few things in this journal. So, yeah, it's just one big experiment. I'm just trying out things, trying to get familiar with the mediums and paints and sprays again. So, I'm adding a piece of artist tape to the spine area just to try and make sure that not much leaks through there and to make sure that my spine doesn't collapse or break apart. Then I'm adding the washi tape as part of the texture in the background. And I'm using the matte medium to make sure that that washi tape stays in place. And a lot of this, you don't see all of this in the final piece, but this is like the underpainting. If you know anything about painting, um, there are layers underneath the actual painting that you see, but they make the final layers of paint come to life, and if they make them more vibrant and intense. I guess I don't know what other words to use, but they make them more rich. That's the word I'm looking for. They make them more rich. And in an art journal or in a piece like this, the underpainting, the texture, the background makes it more rich. So here I have some napkins that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I don't know how long ago, but I've had them for a while. The napkins are the basis of my idea here. So I'm peeling off that extra layer that napkins come with. Apparently the Dollar Tree napkins only have one. Some other napkins that you might find have two layers, but these only had one. So I decided to use the one with the USA and flags all over it and the one with the flags. And I'm just cutting out one of the flags to use. Now I'm drying the background because I want to add the napkin on a dry surface. So I put down a little matte medium and then put some on the top of it to make sure to hold that in place. This is kind of decoupaging but I'm using matte medium instead of Mod Podge, which the next time I'll probably use Mod Podge because it is less expensive than the matte medium. So I'm just adding pieces of the patriotic napkin all over. Again, these will be pushed back into the background. But they will make for a richer background. And again, this is me just practicing technique, trying things just to see how they will work. And this is just, I don't know. I came up with the idea. It was just something that I wanted to do, and I did it. So I'm just kind of glad that I'm starting to feel like doing art and things like this again. So here I am tearing the edges of the flag because I didn't want it to have clean cut edges. I want it to be more organic. So I'm deciding on placement. And so I decide to put it right in the middle. So I'm putting down the matte medium and placing the piece of the flag and going over the top with more matte medium to lock it in place. Again, I'm drawing all the layers as I go. These are stencils that I made myself. I end up only using the one with the stars and stripes on it. But again, these stencils were just something that came to mind. I wrote down the idea, and as soon as I had time to do it, I created the graphic and cut them on my Cricut. And I used the poly folders um, that they have at Walmart during back to school. I have quite a few of those from when I was making stencils before, so I have started using them to make stencils for mixed media for myself. So when I have an idea, I create it, cut it on the Cricut, and voila, I have a stencil that I can use over and over again. So I'm just adding stars around the flag. And I'm using modeling paste. I don't know how different that is from texture paste. I did order some texture paste because I did not really care for how the modeling paste takes the sprays. So we'll see in a future project. But yes, for the stars, I was using modeling paste. Here I'm just trying out a few of the sprays that I have. I have acrylic paint spray that I made myself. I'm using some Tattered Angels, and I think I used two different Tattered Angels, one of which the sprayer didn't work, so you'll see how I use that here. Just taking the sprayer out and dropping a few drops on. The issue was that I did not have really the right blue, the blue that I wanted to use, so I'm just having to make do with the blue colors that I have. So here I'm just spraying a little water to get the little drops of Tattered Angels to move around on the page. Still not the color that I'm looking for, but I'm going to add some more because I do need some blue in my background. Here I'm just kind of patting off some of the excess. And I'm taking some gesso on my finger and blending out some of the blue, blending out around the edges of the flag to help that blend into the page even more, and just adding some white space to that background that's pretty busy. The gesso it kind of ties everything together, I think. And if you don't like something that you've done, the gesso is a great way to blend it out. And these are acrylic markers from Arteza. I'm getting some of them started. They're like paint markers. And I'm using the white one here to add a border around the page. And now I'm using some blue to try to pop out the stars. The stars were a bit of a challenge on this. I really wanted the stars to pop out into the foreground and for the flag to be more towards the back. I just couldn't seem to get the medium right, what medium was going to work right. So I really had to do a lot of work on the stars. As you can see here, I used the blue acrylic paint marker to outline the stars, but the paint kind of bled into the white of the stars, and the brush that I was using was a little large, so it was getting the paint on the stars as well. But I kept going because the darkness around the stars, the shadowing would help them pop out regardless of how white they were. So I'm going to go back after I've finished shading and adding shadows and make them white again. So I'm just using different colors to darken around the stars to help them pop out a little bit more. So these are the kind of projects that I really enjoy doing. So if you like mixed media or art journal videos, let me know in the comments below. So here I'm just adding more shading, more shadowing, trying to get those stars to really pop. So, and I've mixed a few different blue colors and some black. I found that the black paint marker doesn't blend out as well as the blue ones do. It seemed to dry really fast. So here I'm adding some red shadowing around some of the stars. And I'm using a brush to blend that out. and going back over the stars with a little gesso to add that white back to them. Again, a lot of this is experimenting and just going through the process, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And trying to achieve the look that I envisioned. So here I'm coming in, adding a little more gesso to frame the page. Now here I'm adding some red to balance off the red on the right hand side. It seemed like everything was blue and I only had that one area of red, so I'm adding a little red over on the other side of the page to balance it out. So here I'm using the stencil to add gesso over the stars with a makeup sponge actually. And I don't like the way that goes. It leaks underneath the stencil. I'm still working on trying to bring those stars out. But I think it was a technique I used on that first try. When I try it again, it comes out a little bit better. I used a little less gesso on the sponge. But again, I'm going in trying to touch up those stars to make them more prominent. I don't know. I just was struggling with those. Here I have a India ink marker. They're pit markers. I'll put the correct name of them in the description box below. But I really like these markers. I've had them for a while. I don't have all the colors, but they are great for adding shadowing. I really did enjoy working on this, and I'm really excited to work on another design. I wanted to do another patriotic themed um, art journal entry, but I don't think I will. I think I'll move on to something else. This is a dark red pit pen or pit marker, and I use that to add some shadowing in the red areas. Now I'm just doing a little more touch up on the stars. I know I keep saying that, but I don't know. And I just have a thing that the stars look a little wonky. It bugs me, so I'm steadily trying to touch them up to make them look exactly like the stencil. I know that's impossible, but I was trying. And I think I did a pretty good job of eventually getting them to pop out away from the background to look like they're in front of the flag and the flag kind of towards the back. So here I'm just going to add a few splatters. I used the watered down gesso for it. I didn't go overboard with it, at least I don't think I did. And that's the finished page. So here are a few close-ups so that you can see the layering does peek through. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that little gray bell so that you'll receive notification each time I upload a new video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thanks for watching. Bye.